least I think it's said it should be public, so hopefully it is. But I'm bored. Why not? Let's just okay. We do have a viewer. So the live chat should be over here somewhere. I'm just streaming from my phone because I'm bored. I'm too lazy. Okay, so let's just get this disclaimer out of the way immediately. Also, I hope the streaming goes fine. Sometimes it likes to be a butt, but I don't know. But anyways, the disclaimer here. There is going to be spoilers for Cheating Dawn in this. So if you have not seen it and want to see it, click away. That's all I can say. Do not stay if you do not want to be spoiled. Good? Okay. So we're essentially just having this stream because I'm looking at the comments and there is a lot of misconceptions and a lot of questions that need to be answered here. So there is just a lot of spoiling going on here. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it first. And yeah, I'm bored, so let's talk. So hopefully the chat shows up. I don't know how the mobile crap works. So I don't know how long this is going to be, but one of the biggest misconceptions that I'm seeing for Cheating Dawn is basically that the traps in it weren't strong enough for basically the end twist, like what you find out about our actual protagonist. Let me tell you what, they are severe enough. Because in the finale, when Button and Sweetie Belle are finally confronted with each other, they basically Sweetie Belle says that she does not want violence to be the answer for what's happened, because violence is what started it, right? Domestic violence. That's why I suggest anybody who watches this to be able to take a lot of sensitive content. Otherwise, you're not going to like it. So, there you go. But let me tell you why they are personal. Because of the fact that they are personally implied. You have to think a little hard in order to figure it out, but they are personally implied. So, how I had to explain it to one person was like this. Okay, the place where this entire game is taking place is a structure. We have basically a cellar of a house, the backyard of a house, and a house in its entirety. So we basically go from the bottom of the house to the back of it and then into it. And we have to like navigate this entire thing. Basically, the house is supposed to be a metaphor. Well, every trap's supposed to be a metaphor, but the main metaphor is the house. The house and all of the structure. The structure represents the relationship between Button and Sweetie Belle. Because basically this house has been forgotten and it's completely just dilapidated and destroyed. Like, it's fragile, it's unkempt, it's just bad. And basically, in the finale, Sweetie explains everything. She explains how the house is no longer a structure that is, or like they're, like the relationship is not stable anymore. It's completely unstable. They don't have no love for each other anymore, and it's been that way for 5 years. So the house is a metaphor for all of this. Basically, the house is an unstable structure, and it's been forgotten for God knows how long, because it's completely dilapidated and destroyed by time. So that's basically the point that I was trying to make with the house. Each trap represented what destroyed the relationship. So let's go to trap 1. Sweetie Belle explains it pretty well, but the main thing with trap number 1 is the shock factor. No pun intended, but basically that's what it represents, shock. The shock when Sweetie Belle's lover basically did what he did to her. I don't know if I can say it on stream. But basically, what he did to her, if you didn't catch it, was Sweetie Belle puts it as a free for all. Let me just put it this way: RAPE. So there you go. That's the only way I can say it without getting in trouble. So yeah, basically, Button and the people that are in trap number 2 decided it was cool to drug and violate Sweetie Belle. So there you go. So that was shocking to her because she's awake and completely unable, and she's like paralyzed, but she's able to know what's going on. That's how she was able to get the shock factor. So that's what started to deplete in the relationship. Basically, that event was what started Sweetie Belle's descent into complete instability and madness. Let me put this in the right way. So basically, Sweetie Belle said, I'm going to put you through exactly what I've been facing for these years, you asshole. So, the first trap is supposed to represent a shocking discovery. The shocks are supposed to represent, the shock that Sweetie found when Button did that to her, and then from therefore, it just started to just break apart. Trap number 2 was more of Sweetie's, it was more based around Sweetie's side of things. She didn't want these people alive anymore. The people that violated her. She didn't want them to live anymore. So she had Button take care of that little problem. So that was more on Sweetie's side. But it also represented those people and how they physically affected her and destroyed her. Because basically from that point forward, that was the wake-up call for Sweetie to realize who Button really is. But she's afraid to do anything in a domestic relationship, like a abusive relationship. The person that's being abused normally does not act because they're too scared to act. And that's basically what Sweetie was stuck in. She couldn't act because she was too afraid to. Up until she meets Erica. But basically she goes through 3 years. They've been in a relationship for 2 years because 5 years. But 2 years is when this all started to happen. And because she basically says, sorry about that. It's okay. I just want to get these misconceptions fixed. And you do have to think really, really hard to get these. So I understand if some people don't understand them, but me as the author, I'll clear it up. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, the relationship. So they've been in a relationship for 2 years, and then Button decided to do that. That was the point where Sweetie Belle was like, oh my god, my husband did this to me, and it just started to descend into madness. Sweetie Belle's psychological and mental health just went straight down the drain. Because for 3 other years, Sweetie is getting abused and manipulated and all sorts of shit. She's just being put into a hell that you can't escape. So, basically where that leads to is Sweetie just starts to slowly descend into where she cannot function anymore. Her mentality is just dropping to the point of where she just can't act like a human being anymore and can't be a regular human being anymore. It drove her to the point of where she just decided to take care of the problem her way. Let me get everything. So, after 3 years of being abused, manipulated, and just completely destroyed by Button, she finally said, "You know what? I'm tired of just being used like a toy, and I'm going to take action." So, it's never going to be told how she met Erica. It's going to be just left the way it is. We're just going to say they met in a cafe or something. Or maybe Button was out on his own one day and she found Erica and basically approached her saying, I need help. I don't know. It's a detail that doesn't need to be added. So Erica, yeah, she's interesting. She's just basically an apprentice, or not an apprentice, and an assistant. She's the one who runs all the traps and all that stuff. Sweetie Belle just basically said, I have a problem and I need your help to take care of it. That's all she did. So Sweetie Belle set Button up, basically, because, okay, 5 years of this, or, well, technically 3 years, but 3 years of this, after what he did to her, she's basically she's gotten Button down, knows his actions, and can predict exactly what he's going to do in a situation where he's, like, tempted by lustful desire or something like that. And that's basically what happens. She sets Erica up to test Button by basically approaching him, all all lustfully, and yeah, he ends up cheating on her. So that basically turns into the point where, like, Sweetie Belle's, okay, we know what he is now. He's an unfaithful loser. So that's what triggers the game, and that's how Erica learned, okay, she's not lying about this cheating son of a bitch. So yeah, they move to making the game. How long this takes, I don't know. Months, probably. Okay, then the metaphors with the traps. So the first one was the shocking discovery that Button was doing these horrible things to her. Second one was more on Sweetie's side of things, but it also played into her psychological and mental damage, because she was just straight up going to murder these sons of bees. And by basically doing that, you learn Sweetie is not. She said she's trying to think, oh, hey, I'm not going to stoop to Button's level of using violence to get what I want. But her mental stability has gone so bad that she cannot function anymore and realize what she's doing is wrong. So, by doing this, she doesn't realize she's already stooped to Button's level because she's using Button to kill these people off. Rather than, like, letting the justice system take them in, put them in jail or whatever, she's basically taking justice into her own hands and seeing the way she wants to do things. So Sweetie is not a good guy in that. She's a bad guy, basically. She's an anti-hero, technically. But she's mentally destroyed, so she doesn't realize what she's doing and doesn't realize that she's already fallen to Button's level of bad because of what she's doing. So yeah, the second test is more something on her side and an example of exactly what has happened to her, how bad Button has damaged her. Then there's the house. The house represents instability. There's no stableness in their relationship, and one wrong step out of line could have just collapsed and killed someone. So this represents her being trapped by Button and her fears of being, like, beaten by Button if she steps out of line. That's why one of the key words that she said in the tape was step lightly, player. Because, well, if Button makes one wrong step and steps too hard, dead. The entire house is just going to go down on him and he's just going to die. Which probably would have been one of the best things that could have happened, honestly. But it ends up happening in the end anyways. But yeah, that's what the house represents. It represents the instability in the relationship, and it also represents basically Sweetie's fear of Button, because she felt like she just couldn't take one step without ending up manipulated or beaten because of Button. So that's what that represents. There's two things going on here. So instability in the relationship, which is what the house is supposed to represent, all the traps. That's the metaphor with that trap. But the other side of it is Sweetie's fear. Then, basically, the end, you learn everything. But in that time, you also realize, Sweetie is not a good guy. She's a horrible person for doing what she did. But yeah, basically, Sweetie is doing this to get revenge. She don't care anymore. She's mentally destroyed, so she doesn't see what she's doing is terrible, and that she should just turn him into the police. Nope, she's doing things her way, and she wants him gone. But she's not going to end it by just killing him. She's going to put him into what she felt she was stuck in for 3 years, which is a prison cell that she can't move out of and she can't do anything in, which is the place where Button's put. He can't go anywhere beyond where the change will let him go, and he can't talk to anybody and he can't see anything. He's basically stuck in his own hell and prison up until he finally dies from natural causes. Another misinterpretation that's going on, God, it was right on my mind too. I'm trying to think. God, what was it? Well, there was one comment that someone made, but it was kind of bullshit because it wasn't posted on YouTube. It was posted in a Discord server. I mean, apparently this person didn't understand how fan fiction works, and that some things don't need to make sense. But another thing, people are like, okay, this is the inspiration for this fic. You can see it plain as day. Saw. Saw is one of my favorite horror movie franchises. You guys probably know that because of Chrysalis's Revenge. Like, Chrysalis's Revenge is really uh, dead set on Saw and the friendship test. Those were inspirations for that fic. But people are saying it's just like Saw. No, it's not. Because I had to rewatch a video in order to understand this, because there's a video on YouTube that basically explains everything about Saw and what it's supposed to imply. Saw is not a romance, like, horrible love story thing. It's basically a story about a serial killer who was driven to the point of madness because of loss and grief. He basically was led to that point because of grief and feeling like the world was like that the world had turned against him. This is nothing like, well, it is like Saw in its basis on what it does, but the story behind it, nothing like Saw. This is a story about Sweetie Belle getting revenge on Button and teaching him exactly what he put her through, making him go through what she's been through for 3 years, and making him realize the errors of his ways and the punishment due. That's what Cheating Dawn is about. Saw is not about that. Saw is more demented, twisted, corrupted, and a lot of people are saying I should write a sequel to this. It was on my mind, but I'm like, no, let's just leave it the way it is, because that's the main problem with horror movie franchises, is that they go on for too long and then problems start to happen. And it gets continuity errors, inconsistency, and all sorts of shit like that. Is there anything else I need to clear up to anybody who cares? But to state I wrote this fic basically, like, I don't even remember how I think I was just bored one day and I started writing. And seeing Saw is one of my favorites, and I've wrote, fics based around it before. It was a lot of fun to write another Saw fic. But this story originally had like 3 different endings. It had 3 different endings to it. Trust me, this was not an easy fic to write. It was tough. So the first ending was simple. Game Master was not even going to be Sweetie Belle. It was just going to end with Button failing. Well, let me think about that for a minute. He misses one key element to the game. That was the first ending. He missed one key element that was spoken on the tape, and he didn't realize it. And that was the key to him surviving. Basically, Game Master has Sweetie locked up somewhere. He doesn't know this. Like, at the beginning of this, he's just put through a real game. Like, he's a gamer, so he's being put through a real game for no specific reason. It's just someone who just wants to torture him, and for some reason just does it. This had a whole different kind of ending and story to it. Like, basically, there was another key element to game 1, or level 1. Then in the second one, what he thought was killing was basically, how do I explain this? He doesn't realize he's killing people. He basically sees something totally different, and he thinks he's not doing any harm whatsoever. But the thing in the first trap was the key element to his, like, to getting like a true ending and not killing anyone, which is a cure for a poison that's going through his veins from the beginning of the game. It's going through his veins, and it's causing him to see things, and to see things that aren't there, and to think illogically. That was the first idea. Was there anything else specific? It was when I got to Trap 2 where things got really hard to write. So that's why that ending was kind of confiscated. Well, that version, I would say. The house was originally a different kind of trap. Basically, you got into the house, played a tape, and the house started to kind of cave in on him. Or not cave in, but the rooms were kind of starting to shut on him. He basically had to hurry and find something, a key or something, before the house completely just, like, the house is just completely, or the doors just, like, closed on him, and he was just stuck there and died. That was kind of trap number 3. Then trap number, well, it wasn't a fourth trap. Basically, he would get to Game Master, and Game Master would tell him, did you bring the key element that I told you to bring? And he misses it. And the end was Game Master basically gives him another game, basically. It's kind of a reference to Saw 3 when Jeff kills, yeah, his name's Jeff. When Jeff kills Jigsaw and fails, and his daughter's put in danger. Basically, Game Master tells him, I have Sweetie Belle locked away somewhere, and by basically failing to find this thing, you're done. Like, Dawn wasn't even the end point for it. There was no timer. Like, there was no specific, like, deadline when he had to follow. He just had to get the Game Master. Basically, Game Master had a key. The key to, like, this thing that had the cure to his poison or whatever. And if he collected it, he could have lived to save Sweetie Belle. But because he didn't get it, basically Game Master won. And he couldn't continue, and Sweetie Belle basically died because of little oxygen supply. She suffocated, basically. Ending number 2 was basically the same kind of deal, only the ending was different. This is when the arcade came into play. Like, the arcade thing was not in ending number 1. It basically, he just found him at a park or something, and one of the key things that I wanted to add into it was basically as he started to die from the poison, you can see the sun rising in the end, and that was just for dramatic effect. Then there's ending number 2, which involved the arcade. In the end, basically he meets up with Game Master, but unbeknownst to Button, like, there was no abuse or anything involved, like no abusive relationship or anything. Button meets up with Game Master without knowing it's actually Sweetie Belle underneath. But it kind of got hard to write this kind of ending because of the fact, well, Game Master's voice is being spoke. But how do I do this and make it convincing? It would have to be speaking through like a monitor or like a speaker or something, and it would have to sound like it's in the room. But basically, it led down to the same choices as you see in the end: cake or death. And basically, he would choose death, and he'd kill Sweetie Belle without knowing. That was that ending. What came after that? And then I think it was just the abusive relationship one. And I basically had to tell myself, okay, do you want to torture yourself? Or, well, I was torturing myself no matter what. But basically, I went with the abusive one because it was different. It was not like anything I'd ever done before. So I'm like, let's go different this year. And it was a lot of fun. It was hard to write for sure, but it was a lot of fun. So I had to basically go through the story, and I had to rewrite certain parts. Like the additional item thing, I thought about keeping that, but I'm like, nah, it doesn't really fit. So let's just cut that out and just make a key in the wall. So that worked, and basically it plays for a kind of different thing. Because all I've ever really done in the past is like, 29 Pranks Later was Disease. What was the second year? I did 2016, 2017. 2017 I think was Crystal's Revenge, if I remember correct. Yeah, it had to have been. So Crystal's Revenge was just my thought of how, Crystals would get revenge on Starlight in a most demented way. Basically inspired by the friendship test and Saw, of course. Um, 2018 was shit. God, remembering all these things. I think that was a Lyra song. I could be wrong. I think I'm wrong. Come on, brain, think. Oh my god, really me? What was 2018? Wow, really me? I can't remember. I'm just trying to remember all the themes and all that shit that I had going. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I believe it was a Lyra song because after that, that'd be 2019, 2020. 2019 would have probably been Initiation, and then 2020 was Conflicts. Yeah, so I am right. It was a Lyra song. But I wanted to do something different. Like the closest thing to this one was a Lyra song, which involved a relationship being tested with the interference of like this dark presence in Lyra's mind. That's the closest thing that I could have gotten to it. But I didn't really ever write anything in relation to a real world problem like abusive relationships. From the beginning, I started writing this. I flipping knew, not everybody was going to be on board with this. So I expected people to not like it. I expected people to like it because my subscribers can be freaking demented people. But I think it's doing well. It's at 1.5 thousand views, so I'm happy with it. It's doing well. It was hard to make, but the team behind it did a fantastic job. Especially Artsy. That guy, holy crap. He had to hold my hand through it because it was such a hard project. Because the Button voice actor, no shade on you if you watch this, he basically had to cut out because of in real life issues. So at like how many weeks was left? I think with like 2 weeks left, I had to go in and I had to record every Button line. I was going to originally just voice Button, but I thought, let's just give someone let's just hold it up and see if anybody takes it. We did have a voice actor, but yeah, it didn't work out. So that's all right. But I think it's okay. I honestly think it's a fine addition for Halloween specials. And considering it's only getting more likes and less dislikes, I'm happy with it. I think it's doing very well. But yeah, I know there's going to be misinterpretations with like the traps and all that shit because people are expecting it to be related to Saw. Like everything related to Saw. Like in Saw, there's normally traps that involve people and making a choice and forgiving them or something like that. Uh, that is basically the connection there. Like, I think because they think it's Saw related, that it has to be like Saw. No, this is totally different. I'm basically basing this around Button and Sweetie's relationship being unstable and completely just. No, it's dead. And this is basically leading up to a finale that basically you learn the truth about Button. It's like one person commented, what was it? That basically the whole twist wasn't strong enough because there wasn't enough foreshadowing or something like that. I never intended this to be foreshadowing. There basically I wanted people to believe Button was the good guy. I wanted them to believe Button was the protagonist here, that he was the good guy and Game Master was the bad guy. Nope. You find out in the twist, nope. It's the total opposite way around. Well, actually, it's not the opposite way around. It's basically, it's even. It's completely even. So there's really no good guy in this. There's no winner. There's no loser. It's one of those kind of fics. That's why it's a grimdark to me, because well, it was gonna be a grimdark from the start, but I consider it grimdark because Game Master, aka Sweetie Belle, was doomed from the start. She had already been mentally and physically damaged to no avail, that she had lost all hope in basically staying who she was and being civil about it. She was gone. She's already mentally damaged and destroyed. So Sweetie Belle is gone. All that's left is Game Master. She wants revenge, and that's it. So Sweetie Belle's gone, completely gone. I love your stories. Why do you want to start fanfic readings? Huh? Hello, Warrior Cats. But that's the basis of everything here. It was based around the abusive relationship, but also while focusing on the problems the problems with Sweetie Belle as well. And I didn't want to foreshadow anything. That's just something you have to think really hard about. You have to kind of dig deeper and think, okay, how does this connect to this? How does this connect to this? And that's basically something you have to do with the Saw movies too. You kind of have to figure out, okay, what does this trap have to do with, and what does this trap have to do with? It's like in the first movie, you're constantly trying to figure out who is Jigsaw. In one of the best horror movie endings in history for me. And that's why it's one of my favorite horror franchises. Basically, you figure out it's the guy on the floor at the beginning the entire time, and it just freaking catches you completely off guard. And I wanted that to be with Button. I wanted you to feel sorry for Button, only for the truth to come out, and you to completely just be like, oh my god, I was rooting for the bad guy the entire time. It's hilarious. But that's basically it. I wasn't ever trying to foreshadow anything. I wasn't trying to hint at anything. I was just basically trying to make a good guy seem like a good guy, and for you guys to be completely shocked. Like, I knew not everybody was going to like this. I knew it. But you're going to get haters no matter what on something. It's like some people don't like Crystal's Revenge. I don't fucking care. Whoop-de-doo. You don't like it? I don't care. Look at the amount of views it's got. And as long as they get views, I will continue to make stuff. So, haters can go fuck themselves. I don't give a fuck. But, yeah, I knew it was going to get judged heavily with this kind of topic, but I knew that there was going to be questions to ask. I knew there was going to be questions and just misconceptions. Because it's happened before. It's like what's a good example here? The double. The double. Yes, Big Tacos, it is. But we've gotten past the spoiler-worthy content, so if you don't want to be spoiled, just don't back up. But, let me think here. The double. The double is one of the fanfic readings on my channel that gets constant shit. Because of the fact that people think that in the end, Pinky was setting up to kill Sweetie Belle and put Rarity in prison. No! People are so quick to judge. What happens in the end of that fic is Pinky sends Rarity a prank in, like, the mail. Rarity is the one at fault because she's the one who didn't think twice before thinking that there's a Sweetie Belle dupe. Didn't think that it was a joke or a setup. That is what happens. Not Pinkie Pie setting up to kill Rarity or Sweetie Belle. It's not going to... That's not the thing. Pinkie wouldn't kill her friends. Why does she have a reason to? That's the thing. That's one of the biggest ones. Or 28 Pranks Later, The Aftermath. People constantly comment saying, why didn't Twilight just go to Celestia for help? Because it's a virus spread by air, and Twilight already has it, so if she goes to Celestia, she infects Celestia. And dooms the world even more. That's the problem, people. Don't spread the disease further. Do I agree it has problems? Yes, I do. But that is the constant question that people ask. And I'm just like, people, if she goes to Celestia, she infects the ruler and dooms Equestria even more. That's why I kind of wrote Twilight's Transmissions, to answer those goddamn questions so people would shut up. But I still get them. Not to mention the constant COVID jokes, but we've already solved that little issue. Kind of. But if you guys have any other questions on Cheating Dawn, let me know, because I'm happy to answer them. It's been out for 2 days. It's nearing about 2,000 views now. My own theory, I think Fluttershy's parent. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I don't know about that. Are you sure you're thinking of Fluttershy's parents? I think you're thinking Scootaloo's parents. Because I don't know about that review, that theory. Excuse me, by the way. But if you guys have any questions about that Halloween special, please let me know so I can just answer them. It's a lot more easier on me, so I don't have to constantly answer the same crap over and over and over and over again. I'm not going to do a sequel because it's like I stated earlier. That's the problem with horror franchises. Look at Saw. Saw started to get so convoluted by I would say the third movie. The third movie forward, it got really convoluted and messed up and just continuity errors everywhere and all sorts of shit. It's still going to. Spiral just barely came out on DVD. Or I don't know if it's out on DVD yet. I think it's out on I think it's out on pay-per-view at least. I don't know. I saw the kill count thing, so maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, people say it's not part of the Saw franchise, but it has Saw in its name, so people are going to consider it part of the Saw franchise. Plus, it has the same theme. But I don't want to write a sequel because I don't think it needs one. I think we got pretty much a good amount of everything. And basically learned, don't cheat. Don't cheat, don't abuse. And this will happen to you. You know, I doubt it's ever going to happen to you. You most likely would end up with the police. But, I mean, the idea that I kind of had was kind of like Saw. Which Saw is that? Is that Saw 3? I think that's Saw 3, if I remember correct. The one where Eric Matthews just basically breaks his leg and gets out of the chain, somehow doesn't bleed to death, and comes back in Saw 4 as an enemy. Or not an enemy, a victim, my bad. Leaving enemies alive is always a mistake. Right, but over 100 miles from civilization and chained up and without no reach on any sort of weapon or anything. I mean, you could chew your leg off, but you'd bleed to death. So it's most likely the button's going to die. I mean, you can't go up to 3 days without water. I believe that's how it goes. Up to 3 days without water, a week or 2 weeks without food, I think is what it is. I think it's a week without food, if I'm not mistaken. And you just basically die from starvation or dehydration. It depends on who you are. But I don't want to write a sequel because, well, I don't think it needs one. I just think it's good how it is, and it's good for Halloween. I don't consider Cheating Dawn horror because the majority of it is actually just more disturbing than actually horrifying. Like, okay, some of the traps are horrifying, mainly Trap 2. But the main thing about it is that, okay, no horror elements really are implied. And that's one thing I noticed about my writing. Like, I don't write in monsters and jump scares and all that shit. I let the atmosphere and storytelling scare you enough. Like, I consider that more disturbing than terrifying because it really doesn't have any horror elements to it except the gore. But that's just me. But that's how I like to write. I like to write stuff that kind of just implies a horrifying element, but it's not exactly horrifying. It's just disturbing. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Writing that second trap, yeah, it kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies a few times. It was definitely something that made me kind of go, "What the fuck am I writing?" The way he is, he was not born the way. Something happened that made him act that way. Well, everybody got some of the most most brutal killers in history. John Wayne Gacy. You want to know what led him to doing what he did? His father wouldn't let him be a cook. His father basically abused and did he molest him? I think he molested him, if I remember correct. But basically, he treated his son like shit, and basically mentally destroyed him and turned him into a serial killer who killed boys. He basically put his father's words into his actions, and there you go. But there's a lot that goes into making a serial killer. Abusers can be led by a lot of things: influences, bad crowds, parents. It's not genetically transferred. So that's a bunch of bullshit. Nobody is born a killer, they're made into one. But that's not important. Basically, that's something you can accept because it's not an uncommon thing in the world. There's a lot of abuse out there. Domestic violence and everything, yeah, it's a real deal. That's why when I wrote this, I didn't try to bullshit. Like, I didn't try to do any bullshit with the domestic violence shit. I didn't want to treat it and use it like I didn't want it to seem like I'm using this for shock factor. No, I'm trying to make it as realistic as possible. That's why when I wrote it, I didn't try to make it unrealistic. I tried to make it seem as realistic as possible. The effect that it had on Sweetie Belle and just how it played out. I mean, depending on how bad depending on how bad of an abuser you are, depends on whether or not the actual rape shit actually works or happens in my opinion. Because it's just a problem in the world, and I don't justify any of the actions in that story. I just write. It's just fiction, guys. Don't throw a temper tantrum over it. It's just a story. We don't know his past. Can someone else write a sequel? The thing is, you don't really need to know that. He's put as a bad guy. Bad guys and seeing domestic abusers aren't that uncommon. It can happen. And that's why basically Sweetie puts him as a player. That's how she addresses him. She basically states that because, well, he's a player. That's another name for a cheater. Someone who basically plays with girls' hearts and breaks them because it satisfies them. But Button is way worse than that degree. Like, I just tried to make Button as horrifying as possible. But, again, in the end, Game Master is not any better because they're mentally abused and destroyed, so they don't realize by doing what they're doing, they're no better than Button is. That's just the truth. But yeah, I don't justify anything, it's just a story. So I know in the future somebody's going to come by and say that I used the domestic abuse thing as shock factor. No, I did not. It's a real world problem, so I want to make that's why I wrote it as realistic as possible. I didn't want to treat it like a shock factor element. Yes, it was used as an element in the story, but it was treated as if it were real. Like Sweetie Belle getting mentally and physically destroyed led to the point of no return and taking action into her own hands. That's basically what happened. And Button has only himself to blame because he's the one who caused it. With that thing being what started it all. And before anybody asks, no, I am not against the Button Mesh Sweetie Belle ship. Do I support it? No. It's cute. But I mean, the reason I don't support it is because it's a kid ship. That's the problem. Like, I don't take shipping seriously, but when it comes to minors, I don't like to ship minors. Okay? That's just the thing. That's just how I feel personally about it, and I don't want to get involved in that shit. As adults, it makes more sense. That's why I wrote it with them being adults. One of the more, I don't know, weird comments that I got was someone saying that basically they couldn't watch it because it was in the EQG style. I'm like, really? Wow. But whatever, that's them. I don't care. And of course, you're going to get those comments with like, I can't watch this because the guy's voicing a girl voice. One of the most well-known narrators out there, and one of the most popular books on audiobooks on whatever, Google Play, Amazon. One of them out there, the one that, for fuck's sake, basically one of the most popular audiobooks out there is voiced by a male. It has male and female characters in it. The entire Harry Potter series. This guy voices every single character, both boy and girl. So maybe you should take that nitpick and really just overlook it. I mean, seriously. But aside from cheating Dawn, I have really been happy to have gotten it done when I did because I took a long ass break afterwards. I just was tired, and as you can see, I am acting totally different from like the last time that I streamed. I was in focus mode then, but I normally don't act as, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know, emotionless? I didn't seem very emotional or like, well, emotional. I didn't seem myself. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I didn't seem like myself in the streams at all. I seemed constantly irritated and easily just provoked. So I'm glad I actually finished it when I did because I took the entire month off, took time off to relax, get some other stuff done, mainly easy shit. Like I got how many chapters of that done? 2 chapters extra of Savior done that need to be updated majorly. I'm currently working on another one, but I'm kind of at a writer's block at the moment. But I've taken time. I took time off to help myself in my mental health and physical health because I needed time off from YouTube work and I just needed to relax. Has it been hard not working? Yeah, because when when your mind gets accustomed to working all the time, it kinda becomes something you just can't break. That's why I had to do some extra like stuff like writing and all that shit in the process. But writing is like a calm thing you do. Like it's not something that takes up time or has you frustrated. It's calming to your mind. So that doesn't affect me. But yeah, I took time off to really just recollect myself and become just like get back the happiness that I was devoid of because I was working so often and so hard. So I was constantly stressed, constantly just like how do I explain this? I was just constantly overworked or over like what's the word? I was just overwhelmed. So I needed time off and I needed time to just like get back to normal, to recharge back to normal. And ouch. And considering how well the project is doing, it was worth it. But yep, I definitely needed this break. Uh, I'm not sure when something's coming out this month or if anything's coming out this month. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been reading a lot because, well, I didn't really want to do that on my break. I did read something this morning. 2 stories. One was pretty bad. The other was great. I'm just waiting on the author's permission, I guess. I don't actually know if I'm gonna do it because it's so detailed. So I don't know if I'm ready to take on another Day Zero. Okay, it's nowhere near as bad as Day Zero, but it's close. I would say that. But I don't know. I don't know when things are coming out this month. I don't know if there's anything coming out this month. All I know that's happening this month is Thanksgiving. That's it. But yeah, I'm not dead. I've just been taking time off to relax and just get back to normal. And yeah, it's helped me quite a lot because I've gotten a lot more cheery and a lot more just getting back to normal to like my old self. So it's helped. But I don't want to stay stuck on my butt for too long because then I tend to get too lazy and I don't want to do anything. So yeah, I'm going to hopefully get back to things before too long. I don't know yet. Like I said, I don't know when I'm going to get back to it, but I need to browse fan fiction, find something. Uh, and I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that when I found this morning, which has been on my favorites list for quite a while, a little over a month. I also do have something that another author that I'm in really good contact with. He sent me a rough draft, I think, of one of his stories that's coming out, and it's 10K words. So I have to find a day when I'm mentally like I am, in the mood to actually read a lot of words. So I don't know about that one yet, but we'll see. So far, it's pretty good, but I don't know. We'll see. Uh, yeah, let's just keep this stream to an hour. But hopefully that helped to answer some things because I could see people were struggling to understand certain aspects of the story. And I thought me as the author should explain these things because there is a lot more to it than, on the surface. Like what you hear, yeah, there's a lot more behind it. You just got to kind of you just got to kind of think deep about it, which probably requires a second watch and listening very hard and just kind of digging deeper into the words and just over analyzing shit. But yeah, like I said, I know that not everybody's gonna like it. I don't care. I know people are gonna love it, some people are gonna hate it, but so far it's successful. And I appreciate everybody for, giving it the love that it's getting. And to the people that don't like it, I don't care if you like it or hate it. I don't really care. I mean, that's your opinion of it, so I don't care. If that's your opinion of it, I have no say in the matter. I can just accept your opinion or shove it. Which I'll just accept it because I'm that kind of guy, because it's your opinion. Like, yeah, that's basically it. But yeah, I just hope that that does help to solve a few things because the people that are saying it's just like Saw or basically Saw, it has the premise of Saw, but it's not like Saw. Saw is totally a different story, a different kind of idea. This is more just a case of bad love, a bad relationship being just basically delved into and I don't know, justified in a way. I don't know. But 7 minutes. But I didn't want to stream for too long because, well, I just wanted to get these questions out of the way. And if you guys have any other questions, just tell me. Don't be afraid to ask. I'm willing to answer if I can. But it's not easy to answer certain questions if I can't answer them. Good looking. But yeah, I'm not dead, guys. I'm gonna be getting back to work before too long. I just gotta find something first. So expect some stuff coming out hopefully this month, but I don't know I don't know yet. We'll see. It all just depends on what I can find and when I find it. So with that, I am going to close the stream now, and I hope to see you all very soon. And thank you again, guys, for just giving the story love and just leaving your thoughts. And while some of it's incorrect and I just have to help explain it, it's fine. I don't care. But whether you love it or hate it, I don't care. It's your opinion. But anyways, I've talked long enough, so Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you all next time, hopefully soon. And I don't know, expect something out this month. I don't know. I'll try. But anyways, see y'all next time, and happy horrors until then. Maybe if I can find my way out of here.